Every story you've been told about success and money was built to keep you average. But not here. This is Inspirova, where we speak to your subconscious. Where you unlearn limitations and rewire your mind for power, clarity, and wealth. This isn't just another audiobook. It's your awakening. Welcome to Inspirova, where your evolution begins. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to bend reality in their favor? Why everything they touch turns to gold? It's not luck. It's not privilege. It's not even timing. It's something invisible, a pattern that hides in their thoughts. Every self-made millionaire, every billionaire who started with nothing, they all discovered this one truth. Before you make money in the world, you have to make wealth in your mind. That's the untold secret. You don't chase money, you build the person that money chases. Pause for a second and think about that. How many people do you know, working hard every single day, trying to earn more, but somehow, life keeps them in the same place? It's not because they're lazy. It's because they've been programmed to think like everyone else. Schools never teach this. Parents never talk about it. And society will label you as obsessed or greedy the moment you try to rise above average. But here's the truth most people never hear. Money is psychological. It's not about effort. It's about energy, focus, and belief. The rich understand this game. They play it differently. They think long-term when everyone else is desperate for short-term comfort. They risk rejection to gain freedom. They trade comfort for clarity because they know clarity brings power. You see, the difference between the poor and the wealthy isn't intelligence, it's awareness. Most people walk through life reacting. Millionaires move through life designing. They don't wait for the world to give them permission. They decide what they deserve, and then their mind starts attracting the proof. The moment you start thinking like that, your world begins to rearrange itself. People show up. Opportunities appear. Your confidence becomes magnetic. Because money doesn't follow effort, it follows energy. And that's what no one tells you. The rich are not chasing money, they are mastering alignment. The way they wake up. The way they talk. The way they make decisions, all of it flows from one core belief. I am worthy of abundance. It sounds simple. But this one sentence, when it becomes your identity, changes everything. Because your subconscious mind, that quiet voice beneath all your thoughts, is what truly runs your life. It decides your relationships, your habits, your limits, and yes, your income. If your subconscious believes you're only worth surviving, you'll survive. If it believes you're worthy of wealth, it'll create paths that lead to it. So, here's your first secret. Wealth begins the moment you stop earning for survival and start thinking for expansion. Don't just ask, how can I make more? Ask, who must I become to deserve more? Because every self-made millionaire was once just a regular person who changed that one question. They stopped asking how to get money and started asking why they didn't believe they could. That's when life shifted. The untold secret behind every self-made millionaire isn't strategy, it's identity. They didn't find a better job or a better economy, they built a better version of themselves. So before you chase money, before you build that business, or start that dream, pause. Close your eyes for a second. Ask yourself, do I truly believe I deserve wealth? Because if the answer isn't a full yes, your mind will sabotage every win you get. That's the law of the subconscious, it always returns you to what you believe you are. But the good news? You can rewire that belief. You can become the kind of person money can't ignore. And that's exactly what we're going to uncover in this series. Most people think billionaires are obsessed with money. They're not. They're obsessed with patterns. They study behavior, not just theirs, but everyone else's. Because once you understand human behavior, you understand money. Money is simply energy moving through people. It flows toward confidence and away from confusion. It flows toward clarity and escapes fear. That's the billionaire's first psychological law. Money always moves to where it feels safe. Think about it. Would you invest in someone who's uncertain? Would you buy from someone who doesn't believe in their own product? Of course not. Because uncertainty repels wealth. But here's the hidden truth: most people broadcast uncertainty without realizing it. Their tone, their words, their posture, even their small daily decisions, all send one quiet signal: I'm not ready. And the universe listens. Opportunities fade. Doors close. People stop calling. But when you truly decide, that you're ready for abundance, something begins to shift. You start walking differently. You talk differently. You make faster decisions. Because clarity doesn't come after success, it comes before it. Billionaires understand this law better than anyone. They don't wait for proof. They create it through action. When everyone else hesitates, they move. When everyone else fears, they invest. When others doubt, they double down. That's not luck, it's psychological mastery. You see, the poor think in survival loops. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I lose everything? The rich think in expansion loops. What if this changes everything? What if I win bigger than I imagined? What if I'm meant for more? That single mental shift creates a different world. The poor are playing defense. The rich are playing offense. And money, like energy, flows toward momentum. Here's something to remember. Every self-made millionaire operates with a belief that the future is friendly. They don't see risk as danger, they see it as a doorway. Even failure doesn't scare them, because they understand this. Every loss is just tuition for a higher level of success. Let that sink in. While others are busy protecting their small comfort, the rich are paying their way into bigger lessons. They trade short-term pain for long-term power. That's the law: you can't rise without risk. But the difference is how they feel about that risk. For most, risk feels like fear. For billionaires, risk feels like opportunity. And the secret behind this difference is belief. Your mind is programmed to protect you, not to grow you. So every time you step towards something bigger, your subconscious whispers, wait. It's too much. Stay where you are. But that's just survival talking. Growth doesn't come from safety. It comes from expansion, from walking into uncertainty with trust in yourself. That's the second hidden law. Wealth expands in proportion to your ability to remain calm in uncertainty. Every millionaire, every empire builder, every investor who made it, they all mastered this one internal skill: staying emotionally stable while the world shakes. That's why when a crisis hits, most people panic, but the few, the prepared, the focused, they grow tenfold. The 2008 crash created millionaires. The 2020 chaos created billionaires. Why? Because wealth doesn't disappear, it transfers. It leaves the hands of the fearful, and flows to those who can stay composed. So if you ever want to build wealth, remember this. The game isn't won by the strongest. It's won by the calmest. The calmer your energy, the more power you hold. The more power you hold, the more people trust you. And trust is the true currency of wealth. You don't need to chase money. You need to become the person money trusts. Because when your energy says, I'm certain, the world believes you and money follows. That's how the rich do it. That's the untold law behind every self-made millionaire. Every millionaire was once just a person. But then something changed. Not in their environment. Not in their luck. It changed in their mind. They discovered the truth that almost no one talks about. Your outer world is just a mirror reflecting what you believe you deserve. And the subconscious mind, it's the sculptor of that mirror. Here's the thing: you don't get rich by learning new things. You get rich by unlearning the lies that kept you small. Because from childhood, most of us are programmed with the wrong beliefs about money. We're told money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. You should be grateful for what you have. And those words, repeated again and again, become emotional anchors. They sink deep into the subconscious, forming invisible walls that keep you stuck in scarcity. So when you try to earn more, your conscious mind says, I want success. But your subconscious quietly whispers, no, that's not who we are. And the subconscious always wins. You see, the human mind is like an iceberg, the conscious part is just the tip, but the subconscious is the massive structure beneath. It's silent, but it controls 95% of everything you do. Your habits, your decisions, your self-worth, even your bank balance. That's why people work harder and harder but never feel like they're moving forward, because they're fighting an invisible current. But here's what every self-made millionaire eventually learns. If you want to change your life, stop trying to fight the world. Change the program. They start rewiring their subconscious line by line, belief by belief. They stop saying, I can't afford this, and start asking, how can I afford this? They stop thinking, I'm not ready, and start thinking, I'll learn as I go. They stop waiting for confidence and start building it through action. Each repetition reshapes the subconscious. Each decision upgrades the code. Until one day, their default thought becomes, I'm worthy of wealth. And that's when everything changes. Because your subconscious doesn't care if your beliefs are true, it only cares if they're repeated. If you keep feeding it scarcity, it'll create more scarcity. If you feed it abundance, it'll start building bridges to abundance. So the question isn't, can you become rich? The real question is, what have you been telling your subconscious every single day? Millionaires don't just set goals, they set identities. They don't say, I want to make money. They say, I am the kind of person who creates wealth effortlessly. That identity then guides their behavior. And their behavior aligns their results. Here's a truth most people never understand. Money doesn't come because you work harder, it comes because you vibrate higher. You begin to radiate self-belief so strong that people, opportunities, and resources align themselves around you. It's not magic, it's neuroscience. Your subconscious filters reality through what's called the reticular activating system, the mental gatekeeper. Whatever you tell your brain is important, it starts noticing more of it. Tell your brain you're broke and you'll only see proof of that. Tell it you're building wealth and suddenly, ideas and opportunities will begin to appear. The rich are not luckier. They're just tuned differently. They rewire their mind daily through habits like visualization, seeing their success before it arrives. Affirmation, feeding their subconscious new beliefs. Gratitude, anchoring themselves in abundance even before they have it. And these aren't empty words, they're mental codes. Every repetition rewires a neuron. Every emotion charges that wire with power. Until their entire identity vibrates at the frequency of success. That's why they don't chase money. They attract it. Because they've become a magnet for it. Remember this. You will never rise above the story you tell yourself. Change the story, and you change your world. Wealth isn't outside of you, it's a mirror of your inner code. And every self-made millionaire rewrote theirs. The truth is brutal, but real. Most people lose the money game long before it even begins. Not because they lack skill. Not because they lack ideas. But because they lack emotional control. Wealth isn't built in moments of comfort. It's built in chaos, when fear is screaming, when the world feels uncertain, and when everything inside you says, stop. And this is where 99% of people break. But the 1%, the self-made, they don't run from that fire. They walk through it. Calm. Grounded. Focused. That's the untold difference between the broke and the billionaire. Not intelligence. Not luck. Emotional discipline. See, money doesn't test your skill, it tests your stability. Because wealth amplifies whatever you already are. If you're chaotic, it multiplies chaos. If you're grounded, it multiplies growth. This is why the rich appear fearless, not because they don't feel fear, but because they've trained their emotions to follow their goals, not control them. Every self-made millionaire has faced moments where everything seemed lost. Deals failed. Investments crashed. People betrayed them. But instead of reacting with panic, they paused. They breathed. They adapted. They understand something most people never realize. The calmer you are, the clearer you think. And the clearer you think, the richer you get. Emotional control is the real wealth, money just follows it. When the markets drop, the poor panic and sell. The rich stay still and buy. When the economy tightens, the average person cuts dreams. The rich expand strategy. When fear takes over the crowd, the rich whisper, "Now's my chance." Because emotion blinds the masses, but empowers the master. Let me tell you something powerful. The rich don't react to life. They respond to it. And that small gap between reaction and response is where wealth is born. In that gap, they think logically. They breathe before deciding. They control their tone, their words, their posture, because they know every small emotional leak drains focus. And focus is the lifeblood of success. But here's the hidden truth: emotional control isn't natural. It's trained. Every self-made millionaire built it through failure, through discomfort, through pain. They faced rejection and learned to stay centered. They lost money and learned to stay calm. They watched friends quit and learned to move forward anyway. They realized emotions are messages, not masters. Fear says, "Be careful." Doubt says, "Prepare better." Anger says, "Something needs to change." But none of them say, "Quit." The problem is, most people listen to emotions like commands. The wealthy listen like advisors. And that single difference builds empires. Because when you can stay calm in chaos, focused in frustration, peaceful in pressure, you become unstoppable. It's not the smartest who win. It's the most emotionally mature. That's why, while others chase motivation, the rich chase mastery. They build systems to stay consistent even when motivation dies. They meditate when stress hits. They journal when confusion strikes. They take a walk instead of taking revenge. That emotional composure radiates power. And power attracts trust. And trust always attracts money. So here's your millionaire truth for today. Emotional control is the real currency. Money will come and go. Markets will rise and fall. But if you can master your emotional energy, you'll create wealth anywhere, in any economy, in any era. Because the world doesn't reward the reactive, it rewards the grounded. Be the calm in the storm. Be the stillness in the noise. And watch how the world starts moving around you. That's emotional wealth. And it's worth more than gold. There's a reason only a few ever reach the top. It's not because opportunity is rare. It's because discipline is rare. Most people want results fast: money, fame, freedom, validation, and the world knows it. That's why it sells shortcuts. Get rich in 30 days. Make 6 figures overnight. Manifest millions by next week. But the truth? Nothing great grows that fast. Every self-made millionaire knows wealth isn't built in excitement, it's built in patience. Because real wealth doesn't reward those who move fastest. It rewards those who wait longest. When the crowd rushes in, the rich step back. When everyone is chasing noise, they're studying silence. While the world is busy celebrating temporary wins, they're building invisible foundations. That's delayed gratification, the hidden superpower of the rich. It's the ability to sacrifice now for something far greater later. But don't confuse it with waiting passively. Millionaires aren't slow, they're strategic. They move with intention. They plant seeds knowing they won't harvest tomorrow, but when they do, it'll feed generations. They think in decades, not days. They build systems, not moments. They play the long game when everyone else is trading the short one. And here's what's fascinating: neuroscience proves this. The prefrontal cortex, the logical part of your brain, activates when you delay gratification. It's the same region responsible for decision-making, focus, and self-control. When you master waiting, you literally rewire your brain for wealth. Meanwhile, instant gratification strengthens the limbic system, the emotional brain, the one that craves comfort, distraction, and dopamine. That's why broke people scroll more than they plan. That's why they buy more than they invest. And that's why they stay stuck, chasing feelings, not freedom. But the rich, they've trained their minds to love the process more than the prize. They fall in love with becoming instead of arriving. Because they know real success isn't about the outcome, it's about who you evolve into along the way. Think about Warren Buffett. He once said, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." He wasn't talking about numbers. He was talking about mindset. Patience isn't just waiting, it's the belief that time is working for you, not against you. Every self-made millionaire has that calm conviction. They don't rush because they know their time will come, and when it does, they'll be ready. That's the power of strategic patience. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing the right things long enough for them to matter. Because success doesn't happen when you're ready, it happens when your preparation finally meets opportunity. Most people quit right before they win. They get tired, lose focus, and trade their future for small comfort. But the ones who wait, the ones who keep building when no one's watching, they become unstoppable. That's why patience is not weakness, it's dominance. It's quiet power. It's the discipline of knowing you're building something so strong that time itself will have to respect it. Remember this. The poor want fast money. The rich want forever money. Every dollar that comes slow, stays longer. Every skill that takes time, pays forever. And every dream that takes years, transforms you into someone who can handle it. So stop asking, how long will it take? Start asking, how long am I willing to stay consistent? Because your patience will define your power. The world moves fast, but wealth grows slow, silently, invisibly, and inevitably. And when it finally arrives, it never leaves. That's why millionaires don't chase moments, they build momentum. They don't crave dopamine, they crave destiny. The more you can wait, the more you can win. And that's a law the rich never break. Let's be honest, we live in the noisiest era in human history. Everything is fighting for your attention. Your phone. Your notifications. Your fears. Your insecurities. And the truth is brutal, the one who controls your attention, controls your destiny. That's why billionaires guard it like gold. Because attention is energy, and energy builds everything. Most people spend their mental energy reacting. They react to the market, to the news, to opinions, to fear. Their focus is scattered, like sunlight hitting a mirror. But the rich? They concentrate that light until it burns through obstacles. That's the millionaire advantage, focused energy. Because when your attention is scattered, your power leaks. When your attention is concentrated, your world shifts. Every self-made millionaire knows this truth. You don't need more time, you need less distraction. People say, "I don't have time." But time is not the problem, attention is. If you focus 1 hour a day with full energy, you'll achieve more in a year than most people do in a decade. Billionaires don't try to do more, they try to do less, better. They don't chase 10 things halfway, they chase one thing completely. That's how empires are built. Here's what most people never understand: distraction is not harmless. It's the silent thief of potential. Every time you scroll, every time you multitask, every time you say yes to something that doesn't matter, you're saying no to your own greatness. Focus is not just about productivity. It's about identity. The moment you decide what deserves your attention, you decide who you're becoming. And the rich? They've already decided. They don't waste mental space on gossip, negativity, or comparison. They're not chasing every opportunity, they're doubling down on one. They don't compete for attention, they command it. Because they understand this universal law. Whatever you focus on expands. Focus on problems, you'll see more problems. Focus on opportunities, you'll find more opportunities. Focus on growth, you'll attract the tools, people, and timing that make it real. But that kind of focus doesn't come easy. It's built through repetition, Through discipline. Through ruthless clarity. That's why self-made millionaires protect their mornings. No phone. No noise. Just direction. They write. They think. They move in silence before the world wakes up. Because they know the first hour of the day belongs to their future. The rest of the day belongs to everyone else. They don't just control their calendar, they control their consciousness. Here's what most don't realize: focus is not about saying yes. It's about saying no. No to distractions. No to drama. No to shallow conversations, toxic people, and pointless scrolling. Every no frees space for your next level. And every yes you give to the wrong thing delays it. You want to know how the rich multiply their income while others struggle? They direct 100% of their focus to the few things that matter. Building assets, growing networks, learning leverage, and mastering themselves. They're not working harder, they're working clearer. Clarity creates power. Power attracts wealth. And wealth sustains focus. It's a cycle that feeds itself. So if you want to change your life, don't chase money. Chase focus. Because money follows focus like a shadow follows light. Turn off the noise. Mute the opinions. Silence the world until you can hear your own voice again. Because that voice, the one that whispers in silence, that's your millionaire voice. It knows where to go. It knows what you need to do. It's just waiting for you to listen. In the end, the richest person isn't the one with the biggest bank account. It's the one who controls what they give their attention to. You can't build an empire with a distracted mind. You can't master money if your mind is mastered by noise. So take your focus back. Because once you do, everything else starts falling into place. Let me ask you something: what if I told you that you don't decide your future? You absorb it? Think about it. The people you talk to, the rooms you sit in, the content you consume, they're programming your brain. And your brain quietly becomes what it's surrounded by. That's why most people stay stuck. They're not lazy. They're just trapped in low-energy environments. Friends who doubt, routines that drain, information that confuses. Every billionaire you've ever heard of: Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos. They didn't just change what they did, they changed where they lived mentally. They engineered their environment like scientists. Filtering out distractions, surrounding themselves with growth, and feeding their subconscious nothing but winning data. Because your mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant grows. But if you let weeds in, doubts, gossip, negativity, they choke your potential before it even sprouts. So the rich do something radical. They design their surroundings. They don't wait for inspiration. They create it. They don't wait to feel motivated. They build spaces that make motivation unavoidable. You walk into a millionaire's workspace, it's not messy, not random. It's intentional. Every book, every sound, every tool feeds the mission. Because they know, chaos outside creates chaos inside. But it's not just about physical space. It's about emotional space too. Most people try to grow while staying surrounded by small minds. They water their dreams in dry soil. They talk about vision to people who've stopped believing in theirs. And then they wonder why they feel stuck. But here's the secret: millionaires outgrow people before they outgrow situations. They don't cut people off out of arrogance. They distance themselves out of awareness. Because energy is contagious. And you can't fly if you're surrounded by those who've accepted crawling. So, they start curating their circle. One conversation at a time. They spend less time with doubters and more time with doers. Less with talkers, more with thinkers. They don't chase validation, they chase vibration. They find people who remind them of their future, not their past. That's how powerful environments are. Your income, your mindset, your emotions, they all rise or fall to the level of your surroundings. And billionaires? They make their environment work for them. When they want to focus, they remove noise. When they want creativity, they add silence. When they want drive, they surround themselves with progress. They understand one simple law of wealth. Energy either expands or expires, depending on where you place it. If you put your energy into environments that lift you, your confidence grows, your ideas sharpen, and your vision expands. But if you keep placing your mind in spaces filled with fear, gossip, and doubt, you'll shrink, even if your potential is massive. That's why the rich spend money to buy the right environment. They'll move cities, pay for masterminds, build home offices. Because they know environment is not an expense, it's leverage. The poor say, it's just a place. The rich say, it's a system. Every detail, lighting, sound, temperature, furniture. It's all designed to keep the mind in state. Because they're not playing for motivation. They're playing for mastery. So ask yourself, what does your environment whisper to you when you wake up? Does it pull you forward or pull you down? Does it feed your purpose or your distractions? Because if your environment isn't supporting your dream, it's silently working against it. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your surroundings. And that's why every self-made millionaire makes one powerful decision: to build a world inside a world. One where focus is normal, growth is expected, and wealth is inevitable. Because when your environment starts speaking your goals out loud, you no longer have to fight for success. It just becomes who you are. They say money changes you. But the truth is, money only reveals you. Every self-made millionaire didn't start rich. They started aware. Aware that the world doesn't give wealth, it responds to alignment. It listens to the mind that's already decided. And most people never decide, they just wish. You see, there's a quiet difference between those who hope and those who know. Hope waits. Knowing creates. And this is the ultimate secret the rich never say out loud. Wealth is not an external event, it's an internal frequency. It's the sound your decisions make when your purpose and discipline finally align. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's clarity. Look at every self-made billionaire: Musk, Oprah, Buffett, Gates. They didn't chase money. They chased momentum. They built habits that aligned with vision, and money simply had nowhere else to go but toward them. Because money flows to certainty. It avoids confusion. It hides from desperation. It kneels before clarity. When you stop asking how long will it take and start asking how far can I go? That's when everything changes. The rich know this. They think in decades, not days. They plant seeds, not shortcuts. They build systems, not excuses. And most importantly, they never negotiate with their own weakness. The moment the mind says, I can rest, their purpose whispers, you're not done yet. That's why they grow, not because they're smarter, but because they refuse to stay small when their mind knows it's built for more. So here's the truth that could rewrite your entire future. Wealth doesn't start with money. It starts with a decision. A decision that says, I will not live another day as the same person. I will rewire my beliefs. I will build systems that make wealth inevitable. Because the real millionaire mindset is not about having millions. It's about thinking like someone who does. It's waking up every morning and asking, how can I serve value today? How can I make my time multiply? How can I make my purpose louder than my excuses? The average person lives in reaction. Reacting to bills, reacting to failure, reacting to fear. But the rich? They live in design. They build their day before it starts. They control energy before it controls them. They master money before it defines them. And that mastery, that calm, confident alignment, is what the world feels as success. So if you're listening to this right now, remember, it was never about luck. It was never about timing. It was about you, the architect of your own frequency. Every thought, every routine, every choice. You're tuning the signal that wealth listens to. And once that signal is clear, Money has no choice but to find you. Because money doesn't follow people, it follows patterns. It follows discipline. It follows direction. And the day you start living in that truth, you stop chasing wealth and start becoming it. Because now, you know what they never said. The untold secret behind every self-made millionaire isn't about business. It's about becoming unrecognizable to your old self. That's the moment you cross over. From wishing to creating. From waiting to commanding. From ordinary to unstoppable. Because the moment you think like the rich, your world begins to shift. Remember, wealth isn't just about money, it's about becoming more. Every thought you upgrade, every habit you master, pulls you closer to the life you were meant to live. If this voice reached something inside you today, that's not an accident. It's a signal. You're awakening. This is Inspire Ova, where ordinary ends and your evolution begins.